I am delighted today to welcome Richard Cole. He is a favorite of mine, and he was a student of mine in 2004, a Walton College grad. And Richard, I can't believe that 16 years have passed since you were sitting in the BA in class. I'm delighted to talk about your journey today.
Well, this is really fun. I think I speak for a lot of people in saying time with you is some of the best time they could spend. So it's a treat for me.
Thank you. I'm very partial to you, so I appreciate those words.
Thanks.
So I have to say to start that, I love you for many reasons. One is how you are as a husband and a dad. And I think, even your choice of an amazing wife like Kristen speaks to your character. And so watching what you've done in work, to me, really just mirrors what I've seen you do your whole life. And so it's really a joy to talk to somebody that is that 360 view of how somebody should lead their life and live their life. I want to say before we start about your current role that one reason I will forever be indebted to you is that you were on the team that brought Fayetteville K-Life to our town. And when I look back on institutions that were pivotal in the life of my kids and Jimmy and me, that one tops the list. So I will always be grateful for that. So anything you want to talk about today, Fayetteville K-Life, my audience is your audience.
Well, K-Life, and it'll be fun as we go deeper into this. The foundations get set in your careers and in your life in surprising ways. And it's one that surprised me and is probably the anchor for so much of what I've become, whether why I met my wife or how I met my wife, or just even how I work today. This kind of almost non sequitur extension of my life that I never saw coming has become, to a degree, like the foundational thing. So I'll give a K-Life plug. I'll give a shout out to Josh Willis if he's watching somewhere.
Absolutely. And when I think of the K-Life family, people like Brett Wiley, Kay Rawl, Luke Mitchell, Will Heidel, Kelsey Van Housen. I just love the thought visually of thinking of how they started with that anchor, Matt Mooney, and then just, have gone out into the world and take that light with them. So you are one of those. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So currently, though, you're not with Fayetteville K-Life. You are at One Stone, and I'd love to hear about that role and what it is that you do for them.
Yep, absolutely. So from a title standpoint, I'm the Chief Operating Officer at One Stone. And really what that means, and it's funny, if you went and Googled Chief Operating Officer, if my boss is watching, I've never done that, I promise. If you went and Googled it, you'd see that of all kind of the executive functions, it trends towards the most diversity. And I think in so many ways, it's based on who your company is or what kind of the founder or chief executive needs most to go execute their vision. And so for us, for me, it's primarily a culture, a team development, and a healthy organization role. So if I boiled my success down into a few things, it's one, my team is knows where they're going from a vision standpoint. So a lot of communication comes out. They're united in that. So just connected in relationship, and that they're healthy. I think if I care about anything for my team the most, it's that they all have a healthy, not work-life balance, but that work is a healthy part of their life. And I think if I really boiled down like my vision for work or my vision for my career, it's I want to create as many jobs as humanly possible that give people a life they couldn't have imagined. And again, I go back to K-Life at the root of my career and go, I experienced that there and have gotten to experience or build it over and over. And so I think a lot of people don't think work gets to be that way. And so I'm privileged to sit in a seat where I can do everything I can to make that happen.
Well, I have to say, I've got seniors graduating in my class. It's still the capstone class. And I tell them all the time to not worry as much about what they will be doing tactically as what they will do in terms of being the heart of the company and the people that they're surrounded with. So to have somebody like you that's shepherding that and navigating it for One Stone gives me great comfort. And you've got some of my just favorite former students out there with Cole Walker and Austin Dalquist and Patrick Grace,
Yep.
Sam Borgstad. I mean, you've just got a good crew
Yeah.
out there, Rapert marketing folks, and it makes me happy.
It's actually the first box you check on our application. Did you take a class from Molly Rapert?
I
And
like
they
that.
automatically go to round 3 from that one.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's keep that going. I like that. So, during my time here at Walton and during your dad's time, we've just seen this whole ecosystem change so much from
Mhm.
retailers, suppliers, the agencies that support them. And then now OneStone brings in this whole new different look of really focusing on e-commerce. So can you describe for me exactly what OneStone does and the role that they play?
Yeah, sure. So we are an e-commerce service agency. And so it's kind of a broad statement that really I think I could boil down in the complexity of e-commerce to this. We're a team you can outsource as a brand or manufacturer, as we call them, to go fully execute your e-commerce business. So inside of our team, we have people that really drive a brand strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the account manager. They are watching their business, our client's business all the time. So e-commerce is it's very volatile in that the best analogy I can give is it's very rare that you could walk into a grocery store or a Walmart or any store and the shelf you were on just disappeared. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of business. Well, in e-commerce, your shelf or your item can disappear for a myriad of reasons, or so we have a team that's fully focused on making sure your product's always visible. So that's our client team. They are from, kind of our corny or not, we say we're from your warehouse floor to your boardroom. We're going to interact all throughout those channels. So we drive your e-com strategy. We write your content. So when you go to Amazon or Walmart.com for one of our clients, the display page you see, we've either designed the strategy behind those pictures or shot those pictures ourselves. We've written the content. We know Amazon and Walmart's algorithms enough to write in a way that when Molly searches for chapstick, it's going to show up the right chapstick, and our brand's always going to go to the top. We have a marketing team that's buying and selling ads on the platforms. But all in all, the most simplistic way I can say it is we're an outsourced e-commerce team for CPG brands. And it's a ton of fun. E-commerce is where the market's moving. And honestly, and I'm over answering your question, but it's so exciting. So, 20 years ago, it's brick and mortar. Then 10 years ago, it's e-com and which one's going to win this battle. And now we're seeing this really cool thing happening where they're both converging, and this idea of the omni-channel experience, it's you've got to win in both at all the time. So we help brands be really, really well positioned to go win at retail through e-commerce.
I really appreciate the tactical explanation, and especially having talked to some of my former students that are out there, it helps me to see the different pieces that you're putting into one puzzle. So let's look at Richard Cole, though, because what you're doing is very strategic, visionary in nature, and you're really laying down a culture that will allow these things to happen. So when you think about that culture, what are some of the key elements that you're trying to institutionalize? And what are some of the challenges to doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So kind of as I alluded to in my role, I think and I so deeply believe this, and I've learned it at OneStone more than any of my other experiences, if your team can be going the same direction, everyone focused on the same thing, it is so powerful. And even more powerful, I'd suggest, than the perfect strategy, the perfect product, the perfect client. A team that goes together, aligned towards the same mission is really hard to stop. And I'd say we have that at OneStone. So I work really hard to keep our team kind of focused on the horizon, but able to work it back day to day. And we actually have this really cool system we use called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So just as a sidebar, if any of y'all in the future running businesses, check out the system. It's really, really effective. So an aligned team. And then the second part I'd say where I really invest when I talk about a healthy team, we put strategic bets on a team that trusts each other and communicates really openly with each other as again, a more powerful force than just the perfect strategy. So, we're very intentional about, transparency is one of our core values as a company. I'm never going to let bitterness take root in my team because I'm mad. If Molly did something for one of our clients that I disagree with, Molly and I are going to talk about it. I'm not going to sit over here and get mad and jabber to someone else on our team. So these little cultural things that just ensure that our team is well connected relationally. We actually are friends with each other, and I think that's a powerful, honestly, benefit for our team. There's kind of a famous quote from a guy named Peter Drucker, who's, I don't know, 40 years older than anyone listening to this call. But he basically says culture eats strategy for breakfast. And it's not that you can't have strategy, just that culture matters more. And so our team is fully invested on who we are. The challenge is we have, this is a pre and during and post-COVID challenge of we're bringing in a ton of opinions. Now we're not in the room together. You can tell I'm working from home physically. Where am I now? I'm in my upstairs hiding from my kids. But we've got a team in Denver, a team in Northwest Arkansas, remote employees in Nashville and Austin. And to keep everyone on the same page requires a ton of work. And I think it's easy to believe that secondary work to the just stone cold execution of your business. The most important thing I do is keep our team together. And I know my clients are way better served if I've got that team united. So I invest a ton of energy there.
I'm thinking through my job when you speak to these things, and having been at the Walton College for 30 years and at other institutions for 6 years before that, I would say the two things that keep me moving forward are the students, both current students and past students that I've been lucky to connect with, but also the trust I have in my team. So, our leaders, Matt Waller, Anna Larry Kelly, Brent Williams, Vikas Anand, Alan Elstrand. I mean, if I didn't trust them completely, it would be a whole different workplace for me. So I don't take for granted what you're doing at One Stone, because I see them working hard every day to do that for me as well. It's replaceable.
It is.
I'd love to impose on you for one last question, if that's okay. Hard for me to imagine that I'm asking you to look back over 16 years, multiple jobs in multiple places, as you keep pushing forward in doing what you love. And do you have any key learnings that kind of cut across those experiences that you could share with my students?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll start with this. I was the student who sat in the Walton College going, I really don't know what I want to do. I can't see the specific path. And my dad and his wisdom just said, listen, get a marketing degree. It'll open doors that'll at least get you in. And he was so smart to say that, because you kind of just need that first door to open. So for those that are out there going, I don't know exactly what I want job one to be or what my pure direction is, that's okay. And I think that was a learning for me. I had to learn it was okay. So thought one to me is, and this won't surprise you, Molly, I don't think, it's that people are everything. And so the relationships you build now inside your office, in the future, those never stop paying dividends for you. And not that you should build them for the sake of dividends. Building great relationships is an incredible business skill. And then it just works in so many ways. If you're the person in your office that your team can trust, rely on, and lean on, that will always move you forward organizationally or in the future. And so, the jobs I've had, the companies I've started, all wound up in great relationships. And I've always worked intentionally with friends, and that's worked great for me. So working in places where you have the freedom to build great relationships is so huge. So take time to build real relationships, not just working relationships. I'd say that's one. Number two is just learn and learn and learn. And so, I went from youth ministry to finance to construction to building a third-party logistics company, now into e-commerce. Very distinct and diverse environments that required of me to dig in deep and learn. And I'll tell you frankly, if the thing we look for in a new hire is their ability to learn and learn quickly and never stop learning. If you want to succeed at One Stone, you learn. If you want to fail, you just kind of think you have it. And so my premise there is careers are way more fun if you're always getting new stuff injected into it. So look for jobs that force you to learn and get uncomfortable and change and grow. So And then do that on your own time as well. I mean, read a ton, listen to a ton of podcasts. There's more content now you can ever imagine. There's no excuse not to keep learning. And then finally, and this is really personal for me, and I'd say a direct path is nice. If you know, I want to go work at Walmart and I want to get stock and I want to be the CEO, go chase that down. That is awesome. That's nice. For me, a diverse path is far more powerful. And so I speak so much, I think, to the entrepreneurial minded students out there listening. It's okay if the path isn't perfectly straight. If any of you are familiar with this book, Range, it's been really good for my soul. I can't remember the author's name, but the big idea is that the most successful innovations, the most successful people tend to have a just deep well of experiences that they pull from. And I needed to hear that because sometimes I've worried, man, if I had just gone to med school, I'd be doing great right now. Well, that's okay. That's not the path for me. So I've loved a long winding road. And what's revealed from that is I know exactly what I'm passionate about now. It's like I said, I want to create as many jobs as possible that give people a life they didn't know they could have through work. But I needed 10 or 12 years of work to even have that idea. And I'm going to throw one more on there. You didn't ask for, but this one is it's fight for what matters. There are jobs out there, not just one stone, where you can, if you're most serious about your family, there are jobs you can get that allow for that. If you're most serious about your faith, if you're most serious about your ambition and want to work, just align yourself to what matters most to you, because you'll have so much satisfaction in that. So those are my 4. I hope they help someone out there.
They help me for sure. And I'm going to go back to, I think it was your third one, because it reminded me that I once saw Doug McMillon give a presentation, and oddly enough, it involves Jim Webster, but Doug McMillon pulled out a legal pad during his presentation, and he said he had found it, and it goes back to when he was in Jim Webster's class, and Jim Webster asked him to envision what he wanted to do 10 years from then. And Doug McMillon said, I wrote down, I want to be the CEO of the world's largest company. And he had the pad of paper with him. But, Richard, I think he's the only person I can think of that had that target and stayed focused on it. All of my students have meandered and then found new directions. And, while it certainly turned out great for Doug McMillon, I think the reality is this range is how the world works. And there's a lot of blessings to come from that.
Yep. I totally agree. And I had to work my way into that learning. I had to experience to get that for me. But I really do hope it can kind of have some people skip 10 years of learning to go, okay, I'm going to try this. And if it works, awesome. If it's not, I'm going to move, or intentionally try new things over and over, because we live in an age where every market changes so fast that we have the freedom to change with it. And I think that's really fun.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me on this beautiful day. And I'm grateful not just for what you accomplish in the workplace, but what you and Kristen do for our community with Potter's House and Fayetteville K-Life and all the other ways that you plug in and that you pay your blessings forward to other people. It's just a delight for me to be here today. So thank you, Richard. And let's not make it 16 years till the next time.
We can work on that. I think we can make that happen. Thanks. Thanks so much, Molly.
Thank you so much.